So our first keynote is river-based ecotourism and a basis for downtown placemaking. What makes this place your home? What makes it something that you want? How can Horicon be even a better place for the people who live here, for the tourists that they bring? So I'd like to introduce you to Jim Schaefer. Jim has only been in Horicon as the Economic Development Coordinator for a short period of time, right? Several months?
Coming up on a year now.
Oh, it is a whole year. I thought it was like 6 months.
11
So
months.
I'd like you to come up, and your presentation is up, and we're looking forward to hearing it.
Okay, thank you. So it's my job to try and get new businesses to come to Horicon, to work on community development projects, and just kind of whip this place into shape and make it more appealing to people who want to come and live here. Partner with all members of the community, trying department heads and elected officials and the business owners and citizens working together to just make this place better. Horicon, I feel like everyone, when you first come here, Horicon feels like it should just be doing a little bit better than it is. You know, it's a great location. It's in the center of this amazing triangle, which is 3 million people. You know, you've got the 3 biggest markets, and Horicon is smack in the middle on Highway 33. So this is the map I showed to the guys who might want to consider putting a new manufacturing business, you know, in our business park. That look, you're only a 50-minute drive from each of these 3 markets. So why don't you give us a look? Of course, we have a Rock River. You know that. And we have a Horicon Marsh, but I don't think people outside of Horicon really know that. I think most people anywhere else in this triangle are asking, where's Horicon Marsh? They'd say, in Horicon? They don't know where it is. They don't come here. So we have to hit people over the head with this idea that this is an important place. 3 million. You could say that it's in the middle of nowhere, or you could say it's in the center of everything, so it kind of works both ways. So then we zoom in a little bit closer, and you know, here's the marsh, which you're well aware of. You know, what really drives Horicon, of course, is John Deere Tractor Factory. Of course, you can see all the tractor exhibits. We have a downtown that really needs some work. So this is my sort of map that I created. Again, I've only been here about a year, so I'm still learning this town. But my background is in urban design, urban planning. I'm actually a landscape architect by trade, so I like to draw maps and design parks and things like that. So I always look for, you know, some bricks and mortar, get your hands dirty kind of projects that we can work on in sort of a community, sort of just get things going. And then while I'm doing that, other sites we can infill. So these are sort of project opportunities. We have a business park. We have new business park land. We just purchased a farm on the west side, right on 33. John Deere is expanding. They're bringing up jobs from Janesville and consolidating some things in their downtown manufacturing plant out here, and they're pushing out here and putting up like a $300 million, I forget what it is. Wait, 30 million or 300 million? I should probably know that. It's really big expansion on their manufacturing plant. We have a Highway 33 entrance we need to work on. We have commercial lots to fill in a neighborhood called City View on the west side. There's a new planned neighborhood we can start to fill in if we can get things rolling up there. 33 comes through town, through downtown, crosses the river. And on the east side, for people coming in from Milwaukee, there's this opportunity to do something interesting around the bend here. If you ever come into town from that side, that's sort of your first arrival experience. Come up a hill around a turn, and so that's an interesting place. But really, the river is sort of an untapped asset, which is why you're here, of course. So just a couple months ago, we started a downtown planning process. Like I said, initially when I came in the door, I wanted to immediately jump on some commercial opportunities, so to get some new developers looking at some open commercial lots. And one of them is right downtown. It's on this, actually right next door. We are right here in this building, in the Union Building, and this is Bowling Green Park. But next to Bowling Green Park, there's this, what used to be a fast food restaurant, a Hardee's site, right on the river, which got taken down and it's just been sitting there as empty land for a number of years now. It also got recently larger when this one house that was for sale got purchased, so the site got a little bit bigger. So we're looking for something interesting to do here on the river. And this is our downtown study area. It's Highway 33, the park, the river, right through downtown. Most people know that there's a place where you can rent or do an excursion on the river. Of course, you guys all know Blue Heron, right? This is a place where you can get in a pontoon boat and get a guided tour and go up into the marsh and learn about all the wildlife and the great river experiences and history. But other than that one venue, there's really not much happening on the river downtown. You know, this park is nice. It does have sort of a partially developed edge, as you probably saw, or if you can go see very easily along here. But then it kind of doesn't quite make it around the turn. There's no river walk, and of course we have a John Deere factory right up to the edge of the water. So there's also some things afoot where at the new construction out at the new plant might eventually mean that they'll be able to do a little bit of, redevelopment and clear out some of these buildings and take them down and make that available as sort of a new part of downtown we can develop. So we could have a pretty exciting downtown. We have a row of historic homes. This is the town where you take the sharp right here, hairpin turn at Highway 33. And this block needs a lot of attention. This entire historic, beautiful buildings that have just been sort of let go a little bit. It's just neglected. I don't think it's intentional by any way. I've been going door to door the past couple of months for this downtown plan with the business owners, just knocking on doors, just calling people in a meeting and just talking about what can we do to make this place better. And I'm finding that all of the worst offenders who are not maintaining their property as great as we would like, it's not because they've ever had planned to. They always plan to renovate. They've just been waiting for each other to start. It's kind of like I was waiting for that guy to go, and then I was going to go, and they're all kind of pointing at each other. So we're going to do sort of a group exercise where we really work on this block. And then just sort of some streetscape amenities and fixed parking in the back and things like that. And anything you can do to sort of make the arrival experience better for people. So we haven't gotten any kind of details yet. Right now where the project stands is we've done input, I've done door-to-door with business owners, I've been talking to people, all my special stakeholder groups, and as well as we did a input meeting last month, or maybe a month and a half ago or so, where we had 40 people, which is doing pretty good in Horicon, at an open house workshop event where we just put stickers on maps and said, what do you like, what do you don't like, and I got a lot of good input. And what sort of came out of all that input and meeting and talking about things is this sort of bubble diagram, which just came out today. So you're getting the first look at it. This will be, and we'll be getting more and more detailed as we go, but the general idea is to sort of just take advantage of the river. Let's develop a network of river walks along the edges. I don't have to preach to the choir here. You've seen all the towns and the beautiful river walks and how they interact with the river, with interpretive features and venues, and plaza spaces. I think actually something that you would know my work from is I used to work at a firm called Vanderwall and Associates, and we did a project in Watertown, which is the river walk in Watertown, the newest part. And I was part of the team that did the plaza between the two new residential buildings downtown. You might see it on the dam in Watertown. Is that the next couple of days? I assume we'll be floating through there.
That'll be Saturday.
So if you see the plaza there with the sort of tent-like structure and the sort of overlook right on the dam, I'll take a little credit for that along with some other designers. That's a fun project. So I'm trying to kind of get that mojo working here. And really the centerpiece of this for me right now is, again, filling this old Hardy site. And I actually have something going now with a developer out of Madison and another taker possibly. We're sort of in sort of a little bit of a, I don't know, sort of a, not competitive, but two developers are interested now in doing a WIDA tax credit, 40 units of workforce housing, which we really, really need. I mean, one thing about Horicon is we have a lot of jobs, but nobody to take them right now. That's true generally in this region. There's literally nowhere to rent in this town right now, so we need to develop some housing. People have to move to Beaver Dam, or if they're doing better, if they're a manager or a supervisor or earning a big salary, they're going to move to Oconomowoc or West Bend or Beaver Dam or Sun Prairie. There's really no luxury housing here, but this is going to be the closest thing we have to luxury housing in a long time because of the tax credits. You get so much investment because of the requirements of that program from the state level and federal level actually. They have to make them energy efficient and new fixtures, and they're real bricks and there's no vinyl, and they're just really, really beautiful samples. So they'll also have a coffee place with a drive-through and nice sandwiches, so we'll get another restaurant venue. If we can get a word of those tax credits. It's competitive, with about a 60% chance we'll get it, but we're kind of excited about it right now. We'll find out over the next few months what that's really going to take off on that. It sounds like a great use. And that, of course, will have sort of a river walky kind of feel on the back just by default. There's also a historic church, Kitty Corner, which you may have noticed walking back and forth. Did you guys take out at Legion Park today? Is that right?
Yeah.
You guys took out at the boat ramp here. So the same people who are looking at this also do historic things. There's historic tax credits we could use to try and do a renovation of that church, which is sitting empty. It's a beautiful old Gothic Catholic church right on the river. I'd like to see it, an exciting venue, a mixed use, taking advantage of its place on the river with a deck out back across from the Blue Heron, so we get sort of a more energy on the river. And then moving across Vine Street Bridge by the Blue Heron, there's a whole area back here that I think could be doing a lot better in terms of taking take the front doors and move them to the back and clean up the back of house experience on this block and turn it into more of a tourism base, sort of a fudge shop and an antique shop and an art gallery, and make it more sort of like an artistic space that relates more directly to the river. Gifts from Deer, things like that. There's also this area around Deer that Now, this is a long term, I stress long, there's nothing immediate happening at Deere, but over the next 5 years or so, they may start to consolidate some of the factory things onto the north site and move their welding operations or their paint shop, I forget which it is, but move these operations to the other side and then basically clear out space here and fill in the parking lot so we can get buildings along the plaza spaces and a river walk along this whole new part of the city basically developed. I should back up though and tell you that there's also, you guys have heard about the Gold Star Trail project? Anyone?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There's a thing called the Gold Star Trail, which is just beginning to become a real project. We have the Wild Goose State Trail along Highway 26, which is a regional path that goes from, I think it goes all the way from Green Bay, if I'm not mistaken, but for sure Fond du Lac, all the way down to Highway 60 and hence into Watertown and into the glacial heritage area with a connection. So that's a regional path. And when I came through the door, I was fixing to create a path that would sort of connect Horicon to that, some way connect Horicon to that trail. And lo and behold, there already was a group, in fact, they're only about 6 months away from actually completing their funding to actually create the first segment, which will go from Mayville to the DNR Center, the Visitor Center. Did you all have a chance to visit that, by the way? That's an amazing opportunity. And the new Explorium there is amazing. If you have a chance to stop in there, you don't. I know you don't, you're on schedule, but come back sometime and see the Explorium. It's really neat, new Visitor Center there. And then from there, the trail will go through the marsh, down Palmatory Street, right through the heart of Horicon, downtown, and then out Highway E, all the way to the trail, and then all the way to Beaver Dam. So that's going to be like, I forget whether it's 11 or 15 miles. That's a new pathway project. That's going to cut right through our downtown site here. So right past my office in City Hall, it'll come down. It'll be on street through Horicon. So there'll be lanes. This will be a striped lane path downtown, past John Deere's factory block, over the little bridge, past Bowling Green Park, and then out towards Highway E. But we want to build a spur in that goes right through Bowling Green and becomes sort of this river walk into this block, into this development area. There could be, we talked about also possibly the one business that we could probably really use around here is some kind of outfitter, like a bike shop slash kayak place. We don't want to compete with the Blue Heron because they rent boats and things. But if not them, somebody else, maybe as part of this, originally as part of this mixed use, or maybe as part of my church redevelopment, try and get some sort of purveyor of 3 seasons at least, maybe, and some horseshoes and whatever. It's going to have to be something together with another shop, I think. I think a good prototype is actually, I met with Susan, recommended stopping at the Camrock in Cambridge. If you've ever been there, that's sort of like kind of a good model. It's a kind of quirky, kind of multi-use kind of business that I'd like to get going in the church. So if we can get something like that, that would be great. There's also another block downtown that could be improved and the storefronts improved as well as a back of house experience. This whole block could actually be a candidate for maybe a whole, a bigger user or corporate presence or something like that. Given enough time, enough energy, if we could actually really make big things happen. We also are getting, right here in the park, a new canoe launch, if we get a DNR grant. It's our second go-around for a stewardship grant. Our Public Works Director turned in the application just recently, and we've been given pretty much kind of a thumbs up that it's probably going to be a win this time to develop the rest of this edge of the Riverwalk. And then it's going to be an accessible canoe launch that has like a lift to get in, so that will be a new way to access the river. And then the Riverwalk in general, I haven't really gotten into the design of it yet, but obviously the idea is to have, cafe, interesting spaces, mixed-use building, and my mixed-use building. And this is, I think, McHenry. I just lifted it off the internet, I'm not going to lie, but there's a lot of good examples of Rock River, Riverwalk towns that we can emulate and just do something nice with the river. And this is that idea for that block when I said I wanted to turn the back door and the front door and do more interesting back of house things. This is what some very preliminary examples of what I'm talking about. I think there could be a performance space at all that people could open their back doors. There's several bars and restaurant space that could open their back doors, develop some spaces that share sort of a performance space in back, and do something with the back of house to make the back doors more attractive. Right now it really is just a storage area and a place for refuse, and it's not very appealing. It's okay, but it could be much, 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 much nicer because you really get a view of that back of house as you're crossing the bridge into downtown. So it could be a great asset. And this is just a little bit more detail on that Hardy site. This is what was available. We're sitting right here, so this is right next door. Just sitting there, not doing anything for years. We will be doing a downtown TIF district too, so that's the other key piece of this development process. One of the outcomes of this downtown plan is probably going to be create a new tax increment finance district, which basically just means, if you don't know what TIF is, it just means, right now this site is an empty field and it's not producing anything in terms of property taxes. But if we put some money up front, borrow some money up front to help pay for some of this development cost, now we can base that on the future higher tax value. So we know that we'll have 27 years of this TIF district, that's what the state allows. So we'll have 27 years of property tax in the future that we can borrow against now. So we can use that money now to sort of prime the pump and get the site ready for development, which is a common thing that cities do. We have some capacity, so it looks like we'll use this as sort of a catalytic project and take this money and apply it to the downtown 300 block, hopefully, ideally. Of course, this project will also have, could have some piers and a riverwalk and a nice experience that then makes this more appealing for renters. This will be affordable housing. There'll be a range of incomes, but it's going to range from about $40,000 down to somebody even on a fixed income that makes as little as, say, $15,000 a year. So if you're wealthy, you won't live here, but there will be some market rate housing here. But regardless, this will all be lower rents than anything we have in town now. It'll be much, 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 much nicer. So 40 units and a coffee shop. It's kind of awkward with a little drive through here and circle around and back out. We're still kind of working on the site plan, but this is kind of developing in real time. And these are some samples that the developer we're talking to has done recently. So really, really nice urban downtown Madison style kind of housing. I was given 15 minutes. I think I exceeded a little bit. I can keep talking or I can take questions. You guys like what you're hearing? Or any thoughts?
I have a question. I have actually a couple questions.
Yeah.
I love your energy. And,
Yeah, I talk real fast.
vision.
Sorry.
No, it's great. It's great hearing that. I guess one question I had was how you're getting folks in the community involved in the process of visioning. And I think I hear a lot of creative ideas, and I'm sure people from Horicon and the people who work here,
Yeah.
how do you get them inspired and introducing their creativity to the process?
Well, to me, it's all about the sort of workshop experiences. Like take a group like this and put the tables together with big maps. I think maps are really key. Get them actually working on input exercises. If we had really good turnout the other day, we're talking about the downtown plan. That's really the only public process I've done so far. But it really has been, this job didn't exist before. This was created new. So one of the first things I did was start meeting with groups like there's a group working on tourism in the area with Mayville, Horicon, and now we've invited the pond into sort of do sort of a three-way tourism branding campaign. It's kind of sputtering right now. We're still kind of finding our way, but that was one of the first things. So then I got to understand how the communities relate to each other, and they were there's a real rivalry between Mayville and Horicon. It's kind of like, So but there's new blood, there's new people, and even some of the old established people say that's not a great way to look at things. We do well when we each do well individually. We do better together. Let's raise the tide for everyone. So we're trying to create sort of a circle tour of the marsh. Because what you have now is you have sort of the Waupun people on 151 traveling from Waupun, from Madison to Fond du Lac or hence on to the Fox Cities. And that's sort of one group of travelers. And there's another wing that come up from Milwaukee on Highway 41. And those two groups never seem to meet. They never quite make it all the way around the marsh. No one does the whole tour. And of course, the Rock River Trail Initiative, the Greg Farmers Project, and all those folks to sort of get this, even before them, to get the whole road map and bike tour of the whole marsh. We're trying to figure out how to turn that into sort of a branding opportunity, working with a group called Discover Dodge. So it's basically, this is a long answer, but there's a lot of groups that we had to sort of interface with to sort of get up to speed. Discover Dodge. I can't even think of all the groups. Go ahead, another question?
Yeah, I'll just have one other question while you're on that idea. Since we're here, the contingent came down by water. I came up by land. Seems to me that it's a great opportunity to kind of bring together the land and the water connection when you're thinking of building, green roofs and wonderful rain gardens and, thinking about stormwater. Is that part of the planning process?
Yeah, we haven't got that detailed yet. Right now we're just trying to do land use and just basic development projects started. So once we get into the design phase, like for example that one building project, the Hardy site, we'll have score more points to get the tax credits. You score more points if you're a green building. So we'll be a certain amount of green building. I don't know if it'll be silver or gold. I haven't gotten that far into the rankings yet. We're just getting started. But that's one example. We're pretty green here by definition. We're pretty rural here, so we don't have a lot of you know, water, we don't have a lot of rules about stormwater treatment. You know, we go with just straight DNR rules. It's not like Dane County where you have, you know, a half-inch thick just on stormwater management for your development projects. We're just going with the straight DNR stormwater management guidelines. So anything we do here would be better than that. But we don't have any real development projects. That's kind of the challenge. We haven't had any real development projects in a long time. So this will be sort of the first group. So I think this project will be sort of inherently sort of green just because it's on the river. And we'll actually do have, and the previous version had sort of drawn in a lot of stormwater infiltration basins and rain gardens and things like that along the edges. And definitely going to push for that as we move through it.
One more question, Jim.
Sure.
You know, getting the city to face back towards the water, which is a lot of communities are trying to do, some successfully, some are still trying to figure it out. It seems like the John Deere facility is so huge, like coming down the river, like for a long stretch, you're looking at the backs of those factories. How involved and how much buy-in do you have from John Deere for this long-term vision?
Well, I did meet with Deere because they are one of my downtown clients, so I met with them. I literally met with the leader of the factory there and one of his department heads who does the facilities planning, and just talked about how do you see yourself interfacing, what are your concerns, issues, what are the opportunities. And most of that conversation dealt with this perception that somehow this whole block was going to get flattened and become a big redevelopment site like 3 years from now, and that's not the truth at all. They still have lots of things that need to keep happening. We really didn't talk about the northern wing of this property. It's not changing. It's going to be a factory for hopefully another 100 years. I just didn't get that far in the discussion. We only had a half hour to talk about the downtown plan. Moving forward, it's a good relationship starter. So I hope to have more talks about workforce development. It's a big issue right now. How can we help them attract people and keep people and wanting to live here and reliable employees and things of that nature. They're good. They could be doing, frankly, a little bit better job in terms of community outreach, community, you know, planning. Right now they kind of shelter. They don't really outreach, interface with the community too much. I think there's this panic mode in the city for a long time. They were always worried that what if they pull up stakes and decide to leave? Well, I found out really nobody's been talking to them and asking the very basic question: are you going to leave? That's my job as an economic development guy, is business retention and expansion, BRE. So that was also my business retention visit, where I said, you're not planning on leaving anytime soon. It looks like you're expanding, and you know, obviously you're not. But for some reason, for years now, there's been this perception that any minute they might pull up stakes and leave, and that's very far from the truth. They're committed here. This is not a town that they plan to really do a lot of community development, community-focused work. But I think we're going to slowly change that and get it back to the way it was. Because a long time ago, there was a really good community-based, you know, presence here that they think they could return to. And I think they're going to be open to that now.
I don't know if they've been able to maintain it, but at least 10 years ago, maybe longer, they did a shoreline restoration along the whole edge of the river. You wouldn't have been able to see it coming through now. But they did it for a couple of reasons. One, stormwater, and two, it was smart, because they were paying a lot of money to have that mowed and treated basically to the edge of the riprap. And they gave a couple of talks at conferences we gave on shoreline restorations and stormwater years ago. I don't know if that's still,
Okay.
you know, sometimes shoreline restorations get out of hand and people tend to end up mowing them down later, but I'm not sure where that is. It'd be
So you're
interesting to know.
saying they armored the edge, they put walls and...
Well, all of that, whatever's there was there, but above that, they had grass lawn that they mowed. And they put in native plants along that whole area. This was at least 10 years ago, and it might have been more like 15.
Well, you may have just given me another project to work on, so check on the edge of the river in John Deere.
Yeah, it's a little early to tell what is there right now, I think. Thank you.
Thank you.